Hello friends, my name is Shankar and you are watching Crack Interview with Show. Friends, after I joined Intuit, multiple people reached out to me about sharing my interview experience and Intuit interview process basically. So in today's video, I want to share the interview process and interview experience basically. How to prepare, maybe I'll share in some later videos, but I'll share some tips at the end of the video. Friends, this video might get lengthy, but you will get very detailed information of everything about the process, about my experience, what mistakes I made, and all the tips and all. So watch the video till the end. So the first question is how I applied to the Intuit. So friends, actually I didn't apply to the Intuit. One of the recruiter reached out to me and saying that there is a SE2 open position in Intuit for Java backend developer and my tech stack matches the position, so are you interested? So she pinged me over the LinkedIn basically. So I was just giving casual interviews after 5th of October 2021. I had started giving casual interviews because I was actually looking for a change as well, but I was responding only to the recruiters which reach out to me over the LinkedIn. So for that purpose, I had done some improvements in my LinkedIn profile. I had updated my resume and all. So I'll make detailed video on this, how you can get reached out by recruiters of multiple MNCs basically. So if you want that video, you can comment down in the comment section basically. So she reached out to me on 22nd or 23rd October. And actually I wasn't aware about Intuit earlier, but I reached out to my friends and they told me, bro, this is dream company. I mean, you should immediately say yes and you should immediately appear for the interviews. So I just did some research on Intuit and I found that Intuit is a great company. I mean, the work culture, the people, the benefits and all. So everything was awesome. And I was really happy and I was really excited. So I just told the recruiter that yes, I want to appear for the interview basically. So, the recruiter said she will have a word with the hiring manager and she'll reach out to me with the details basically. So there were the holidays for around 14 to 15 days. I mean, everybody was on leave on their organization as well, and I was also going to my hometown. So I told ki I'll be able to give interview after 9th or 10th basically. So she scheduled my interview on 9th of November and I went for holidays. I came to Pune on 9th of November and I had completely forgotten that my interview is on 9th of November itself. So I was assuming that my interview is on 10th of November. So I came in the morning only. I mean, I reached out to Pune in the morning only and I slept. So my interview was scheduled at 12 and at 11:50 the recruiter called me. So I was sleeping. She called me and Shankar, are you ready for the interview? So I was surprised actually. I mean, I couldn't do anything. I mean, I just said, yeah, I am ready for the interview. So I was very quick. I just tried to refresh myself and I tried to prepare myself for the interview. So in 10 minutes I could do that basically, and at sharp 12 I was ready for the interview. So the telephonic discussions started with my introduction, then interviewer's introduction, and the brief introduction about my previous company's projects basically, and then he directly jumped into the coding questions. So basically this round was meant only for the coding questions. So he asked me 3 questions in total. Out of them, 2 were of medium level and 1 was easy. So I could answer all of them basically. I was pretty sure that I will get shortlisted for the further rounds. So after 2 days of my telephonic discussion on 11th of November, I got a mail from the recruiter that this is you are shortlisted for the further rounds and this is the interview process overall. So before jumping into the my experience basically, I'll just briefly give an overview of the interview process of Intuit basically. Intuit is well known for its A4A process, assessing for the awesome basically, and it has the defined format for the interview. The process starts with craft demonstration homework. So basically they give one problem statement that you have to solve offline, and you have to present that in front of the interviewer, and you will be given around 2 to 3 days to solve that problem statement, and you have to present that, and you don't need to mail that to the interviewers. Basically you just have to keep that with you, and you have to present. So the next thing is the interview day. So all of your interviews will be on the same day basically, so you have to reserve around 4 to 5 hours on that day, and there will be around 4 rounds, and each round will be one after the other basically. I'll talk about these rounds in detail while I share my experience, but I'll just be brief now because you will have some idea what I'm talking about while I share my experience. So the first round is about the craft demonstration. It will be for around 70 to 75 minutes. It will have 3 to 4 panel members, and you have to present your implementation in front of them. The next round will be assessors round. This will be for around 45 minutes. There will be 2 panel members known as the assessors basically, and the third round is team member interview round. In this round there will be 1 interviewer basically, and this round will go for around 30 minutes. And the last round will be managerial round, and this round could go from 30 to 60 minutes basically, and definitely you will have only one interview, that is your manager in this round. So friends, now that you have got a basic idea about interview process at Intuit, now let's talk about my experience in detail. So when I got the mail from the recruiter, it has all details like the number of rounds, what you can expect in each round. Then there were some interview tips as well in the mail itself, and the craft demonstration problem statement as well. So she had shared a zip file which has the details about the problem statement, the problem statement, the files, if there are any files required for that problem statement, then the input and output format and all. So she told me that your interview will be after 2 to 3 days, so be ready with the implementation. So that was Thursday when she mailed me, and she told your interview will be mostly on Monday. So I thought let's implement on weekends. So I think then she called me again, and she told me that in the next week the panel members are busy with some production issue, and hence your interview will get scheduled for the later, and I'll let you know. I think on 18th of November the recruiter mailed me again that your interview will be scheduled on 23rd of November basically. So I literally implemented the solution on 22nd. I mean, you can imagine how lazy I was that time for this interview. So I thought I think I should have implemented little earlier because I had missed some cases. I'll let you know about them as well after I share my experience. Yeah, so let's start with the interview day. So I think my interview got scheduled at 10:15 on the 23rd of November. First round is about craft demonstration. So I had around 75 minutes to present. So first 15 minutes went into my introduction, the panel's introduction, and discussion about some of my previous company's projects basically. So the company asks you to be ready with slides for your introduction. So I had created around 4 to 5 slides to introduce myself basically, and I presented that only during the introduction period basically. So it was my time to demonstrate my implementation. So they asked me to run the project and show the output. So I had created a Spring Boot application, and I had implemented REST API for this use case. So I ran the REST API and showed them the output. So they were happy with that, but they asked me some questions like why this API processing is taking this much of time, or why the processing is taking this much of time and all. So I told them the reasons, and they were happy with that. They asked me how we can optimize this in real time. So I told some suggestions, and these are the limitations. So they were okay for that as well. After this, they asked me to take them through the code. So I started with the controller, and immediately the same time they asked me show us the design diagram. So I had implemented the code the day before the interview day only. So I didn't have time to create the design document. And I had to give some reason, right? So I told them that because I had some important work, and I wanted to implement the code cleanly. So that's why I couldn't invest my time in creating the design diagrams. And my code was pretty clean. I mean, the packaging, the class, the method, the variables nomenclature was very clean, and they were able to understand what I had written while I was taking them through the code. So I mean, that was a good thing. So first they started to review the logic for the example use cases which they wanted in the problem statement basically. So they asked some questions on the implementation, why this, why that, and all. So I told them the reasons, and they were okay with that. Later they asked me some questions about the Java core Java concepts which I had used in my code. So the data structure, like the collection frameworks which I had used, the exception handling, the comparator, the threading, the design patterns, and all. So they asked me some questions on top of that. So later on they asked me to extend the code, so do some additions in the existing code, and I was able to do that as well. So here also I did one mistake. They asked me why you have used generic exceptions. So I should have used the custom exceptions basically for handling the errors, but I had used generic exception, and that thing also I knew on the earlier day, but I didn't have time to do that as well. So this was also one of my mistakes. I shouldn't have done that time. So after brainstorming on the code for around 45 to 50 minutes, they asked me questions about the performance and optimization again, and then I shared some of my inputs. And at the end I wanted to show them some unit test as well, but I had written unit test for only one class. Actually this is also a little negligence from my side. I should have written the test cases for all the classes, but it was fine because they at least came to know that I have written the unit test and I can write the unit test as well. So now this is the summary of the mistakes what I made. So first thing I did wrong was I should have implemented the solution very earlier, before at least 3 to 4 days of the interview day, so that I can review the code myself and I can make the improvements, and I can make the code as good as possible. The second thing, I didn't create the design document, or I didn't create at least the flow diagrams. Third thing, I couldn't write the generic, write the custom exceptions basically. The fourth thing, I didn't write unit tests for all the classes. So these were some of my mistakes. I think that you can try to avoid. So the second round was assessors interview round. So in this round there were two panel members. I had around 45 minutes, and their focus was to ask me coding questions basically. So they asked me two medium level coding questions, and I was able to solve those questions in time basically. So that's it for the second round, and now it was time for the third round. So my round again started with a coding question. They asked me one medium level string question, and I was able to solve that pretty quick. So considering at least 30 minutes, there was a lot of time. So both sides were silent. So I started the conversation basically. So for the code, they asked me about the optimization basically. So I told them that we can use caching, but caching cannot be used for single run basically. So if there are multiple method calls, then we can use caching basically. And I told that we can use Redis as the distributed cache basically. So now the discussion went in this direction. So I told how I had used Redis in my previous organization, how I have used Kafka as well in the previous organization, and the discussion continued. So they asked me why Redis, why Kafka, why not other queuing mechanisms and all. So I had to draw the design diagram, flowchart and all to explain, and it was very interesting discussion. So I was also very excited for that round. So yeah, I mean that round was pretty good, and now it was time for my manager's round basically. So my managerial round started. Obviously, it had only one panel member, that is my manager, and this round has around 30 to 60 minutes of timing basically, depending on the discussion. So my manager was really cool. I mean. He the way he was talking, the way he initiated the conversation was really impressive. So we had a little bit casual discussion, and he told me that you might need to come to Bangalore. So I told him that yeah, I'm okay to come to Bangalore because I also want to explore Bangalore. Then he asked me about my daily routine in the office timings basically. So I told him that I do development, I do deployment, sometimes I do production monitoring, I do code reviews, I also take interviews sometimes. So he told me who does the performance. So I told him in our company QA does the performance. So he asked me, don't you think they also need to take the performance? So I told him that yeah, I think they also needs to do that. So he told that we don't have QA in our organization, and I was shocked for 2 seconds, because I was used to this process that we have to develop, then QA will do the testing, the performance, then we have to do the production release and all. So I was shocked for 2 seconds, but still I told them that yeah, I think this is really exciting, and this will be new for me, but this will be very exciting for me, and I'll enjoy exploring this thing as well, because I'll have more responsibility, because in current organization I'm doing only development, but I'll have end-to-end responsibility. And I also gave him some examples like there will be little blockers, because when there is QA you have to be dependent on QA for the release and testing. But if you do the development, testing, deployment and everything end to end yourself, there will be no dependency and there will be no blaming as well. So the same discussion I had with him, and he was impressed. So after that he asked me if I had any questions. So I asked him the technology stack which the team is currently using. So he told the tech stack, and the tech stack was exactly matching with mine, and there were some more additions. So I told him it will be really exciting to work and learn these new things as well. Yeah, and yes, that was it. So friends, this was all about my interview day. Apart from those small silly mistakes which didn't affect the interview, but I mean those were the mistakes from my side, I still remember those. But overall my interview was pretty well, so I was confident on that. And now it was time for the feedback. So after one day only, the recruiter reached out to me saying that your interview was good. So as per the process, the recruiter has to reach out to the candidate with either positive or negative, whatever the feedback is. They have to reach out to the candidate, and they have to share the feedback basically. She told me that your feedback is positive, and you will receive a call from HR regarding the compensation discussion basically. So after 2 days I got a call from HR regarding the compensation. So the good thing here is Intuit didn't ask me about the expectations earlier. So they directly took the interview. They asked about the compensation after the interview basically. So I told them about my expectation, and she said okay. So after around 5 to 6 days, I got an offer letter from the HR, and they met my expectations basically. So after 3 to 4 days, my joining formalities started. So friends, this was all about the interview process at Intuit, and now it's time for some of the tips for you. First thing is be clear on the core concept of whatever language you are working on, or whatever technology you have mentioned on your resume. Second important thing is try to write clean code always, and not for only the interviews but always. I always encourage people to write clean code during code review as well, because it helps the reviewer or the maintainer or yourself to read and understand the code. So if you want to video on this topic on the clean coding as well, do write the comment in the comment section. I'll try to do hands-on this. Third important thing is coding. So you should be able to solve medium level questions. What important thing is that you should be able to write unit tests as well. The fifth important thing is you should be clear on whatever you have worked on your previous in your previous organization. The last but not the least, friends, be the real you. So whatever you are, try to represent that only to the interviewer. So it really helps. I mean, even if you lack in something, they'll consider you. I mean, they'll definitely consider you if you are the real person. You don't need to show off for anything. So friends, that was all about the interview process, the interview experience, the interview tips for cracking the Intuit interview. I hope I was able to answer all of your questions. Still, if you have any questions, do write those in the comment section. I'll definitely try to answer those. Also, you can connect me over in LinkedIn, and you can also ask your questions there as well. Also, I have a Discord community server. You can connect there as well. I'll add the link for that as well in the description section. And if you like this video, to hit that like button. If you dislike this video, then hit that dislike button. And if you like the video and you don't want to miss the next videos in this series, don't forget to subscribe the channel. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Until then, keep watching Crack Interview with Show. Bye.